Welcome back to Going the Distance MMA. Today we're doing betting and predictions for PFL Europe for the finals. This is a pretty stacked card. CJ, what are your thoughts on this card overall?
Yeah, I think for a PFL card, it's pretty solid, and I'm really looking forward to the fights.
Yeah, I agree. There's definitely some names that are sticking out to me specifically that I'm excited to see. Some odds that stand out to me as well. I think there's some good angles here. So let's get into it. First fight for the main event, we've got the vacant PFL Heavyweight Championship. We've got Renan Fahea, 13-4. Notable recent loss to Francis Ngannou, fighting Vadim Nemkov at 19-2. This is a really exciting heavyweight fight. I'm definitely looking forward to this one. I would say for Fahea, he's a KO guy. He's vicious. For the weight, he's fast. He's dynamic. In his losses, he tends to get finished. He has a notable KO loss in addition to Ngannou to Ante Delija. I will say that his strikes do seem fairly wild, not very fundamentally sound, not too technical. And if he can get you on the ground as well, he has some vicious ground and pound. On the other side, Vadim Nemkov, 19-2. He can win it anyway. He can go the distance. He can take you on the ground and submit you. He can knock you out. He's been knocked out in the past. He's also lost by decision. He's on a pretty solid win streak. He has a couple early losses that stand out. One notably is to Yuri, the GOAT. He's the former Bellator champ at light heavyweight, moved up to heavyweight. I really think he showcases some of that letterman skill, some of that speed. He's fast for a heavyweight. He's a solid striker. Good takedowns. Like I said, he has some submission ability, some KO ability. I think he's more technical and more well-rounded than Fahea overall. I think that's pretty clear. The odds clearly see it this way. I believe Nemkov is over minus 500 now. Fahea is around plus 350. And at that number, if you tell me who my pick is, I would say Vadim Nemkov, obviously. But at this number, I think Fahea, an early knockout from Fahea is definitely a solid choice here. So if able to, with your sports books, if you can get a Fahea early KO prop, that's juicy. I'd be into that. If you can get Fahea by KO in general, I would be into that as well, just at this price. On my book, unfortunately, that's not the case. I will be looking at some under for a parlay, probably in the 2.5, 3.5 range. I think Nemkov has that ability to go later, but Fahea doesn't. And I think due to that, it'll definitely end shorter. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with everything you said. Not to sound like a broken record, but I just think this fight's super binary. I mean, Nemkov's grappling is pretty unbelievable, especially up at heavyweight. He's very quick, very good hands, will look to proactively grapple. And then Ferreira on the other side is just like a physical specimen. I saw the guy in person, and I'm on the taller side, and he had like 5 inches on me, which is pretty crazy how big and strong he is and the type of power he possesses. But he's always struggled with takedowns and people that are going to chain wrestle him. So I think, like you said before, I think Nemkov gets on top of him early, and I honestly think he finds the sub maybe in one or maybe early two. I just think Henin really needs a bomb early. But Nemkov, last time Nemkov's been knocked out is years ago, so I think Vadim Nemkov would be my pick too. And the under seems like a really good spot.
Seems like we're in agreement there. Yeah, I would have to get a pretty juicy number on Fahea KO. I'm thinking in the range of perhaps plus 5.
Mm-hmm.
I would have some interest, but I agree Nemkov is certainly the pick, and we do agree on that middle ground under there.
Yes.
Next fight in the vacant featherweight championship for women, we have Chris Cyborg versus Sarah Collins. Starting with Sarah Collins, vastly inexperienced when compared to Chris Cyborg. She's 6-0. I would say that she's relatively untested. She has a couple of fights, I believe, against opponents who are like 9-5-ish, if my memory isn't mistaken. She is a submission girl. She can take people to decision. Her bread and butter, I believe, is in the wrestling and on the ground. Recently, she has been showing some improved striking, most notably in her last fight. Had a solid knockdown there where she was looking at a KO finish near. Couldn't really finish it. I think she's lacking some of the ground and pound. She doesn't really open up. When on the ground, she prefers to go to that submission game. I will say that she has shown some better striking recently. Great takedowns, solid wrestling, good scrambles, especially for the higher women's weight class. Really has some good scrambling speed as well. A lot younger than Cyborg, which will come in handy. Cyborg on the other end is 28-2. I will say that she has lost her first fight. Since then, she has been on a crazy streak. She is one of the women veterans that really stands out when you think of the women's MMA landscape as a whole. She's been doing this for a long time. She's been fighting the best for a really long time. She generally wins by KO or decision. She has great strikes. In her losses, she has gotten finished. Good power, good takedowns, good pressure, good cardio, proven. The number shows how proven she is. I see her at over minus 700 here. The line makes sense in this spot. I really don't think it's worth taking the stab on Collins. I can't say I would take Cyborg's money line in a lay either at that number at minus 700. I do like another mid ground under again. I think a little more than the main event. If the main event were more in the 2.5 range, I'm thinking this one more in the 3.5 range, maybe 4.5 range if the number is appetizing enough. But yeah, the odds are kind of taking this one the same direction I am. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think this is another pretty clear-cut fight, like the main event where Sarah Collins needs grappling early and often, and I just have a really hard time seeing that. Like her striking is, like you said, improving, but pretty abysmal, especially compared to Cyborg. And the real difference would be the power difference. Like I mean, Cyborg just smokes these girls. You know what I mean? Like she's been doing a lot of pro boxing. Her hands have always been really good. She's huge for the weight class, very physically strong. And yeah, I just think she was the dog to Pacheco, and that line was completely off. She should have been the favorite there when they last fought, I think like a year ago-ish. And yeah, I think Sarah Collins is solid, like a really good grappler, like you said, but taking down Leah McCourt doesn't really tell you much. You know what I mean? And what else is crazy is that was the final Bellator main event was a Leah McCourt main event. But that's besides the point. But yeah, I just think she's in a world of trouble on the feet. I think I agree with you. Like round 2 or 3, I think Cyborg finds the knockout.
This next fight we're looking at here, we've got Taylor Lapilus. I apologize. We're actually going to jump to a different one. We're going to go for Patrick Habarora versus Kevin Jousset. So this fight is over at 170, 3 rounds on like the last 2. You got Patrick Habarora, 7-0, big knockout guy. I will say he has had some okay opponents, but relatively untested. You've got Kevin Jousset on the other side, the UFC vet, minus 210 for Habarora, plus 160 for Kevin Jousset. What are you taking here?
Yeah, so I guess we could start on the Jousset side since he's the former UFC guy. You probably know I've never really been the biggest Jousset guy. I mean, he trains out of City Kickboxing, so he gets good reps in with them and everything. But I just always thought he doesn't really do enough, like, you know what I mean, offensively. Like, in the Battle fight, he kind of just stood right in front of Battle and was getting kind of bullied in the clinch, which just wasn't a great look. I know Battle's a good fighter and everything, but he's not, like, the most physically strong by any stretch of the imagination. So that was a big red flag for me. I mean, the Keenan Song fight also, Song pretty much gave Jousset the fight he wanted by standing and trading, and Song's not great, right, like journeyman type, so of course that favors Jousset. And Jousset's last fight against Jonathan he looked super gun shy, didn't do enough. He just kind of looked like he lost a step. You know what I mean? So I think this is actually a good spot for Patrick on the other side. I mean, while he's not super proven, like you said, like he's only 7-0, fought like Belgian regionals. I mean, they call him the Belgian bomber for a reason. This guy has a ton of power. Like if your style is like, I'm going to stand in front of you and just kind of exchange on the feet, I don't think it's going to bode well for him. And also Jousset's path to victory would be like a low output striking affair, and I just don't see it. I think Patrick will walk him down. I don't think Jousset could take him down, so I think he's just kind of in for a long night, trying to evade Patrick all night. So I think Patrick just does more, lands more. I don't even know if he necessarily knocks him out, but I have him winning a decision. I think minus 190 is not a horrible line, actually. I think it's a good spot for him, and I bet people will bet Jousset just because they know the name.
I echo a lot of the same sentiment here, as we were saying. Relatively untested, but from what we have seen, he looks great. I think his ceiling could be higher than a lot of the doubters give him credit for. Lots of finishes. He's fast, really fast. He has some vicious counters, great reaction time. He's shown some pretty speedy takedowns as well, so if anyone's getting a takedown here, I could definitely see it from Habarora if he somehow gets caught on the feet. Jousset, on the other hand, I think that the UFC veteran status is definitely putting in a lot of work in the odds here. I think he deserves to be a larger underdog here, just given this matchup and the apparent speed difference. Kevin Jousset, 10-4. He does have more experience, like we were mentioning. Some KO wins, some decision wins. Lost the same way, KO and decision. The speed difference here is maybe the most notable aspect of this fight, in my opinion. Jousset does has some good counters and some good kicks, enough to maybe get a stinging shot or two in, but I don't think it's anything that's going to be able to handle Habarora. And given that Jousset does have some judo throws, doesn't utilize them very often. I do think that this fight, for however long it lasts, will be a standing affair. And just like you said, given that I think that weighs heavily in Haverora's favor. I, just like you, think that this line is pretty solid at around minus 200. I think Haverora is definitely worth that price. I could see him in another world being more like minus 3 or minus 4. So I definitely like that there. Also, if your books like the KO prop, if they have a KO prop, I definitely would be interested in that as well. Don't really love an over-under here as much, but definitely on the Haverora side. Now we're going to jump to the Lapilus fight. We've got Taylor Lapilus. He's a well-known name here. We've got him against Liam Gittins. Lapilus 22-4, former UFC fighter. Let go for God knows what reason. I think that's one of the worst releases in recent memory. On the other side, you got Liam Gittins 13-4. He shows some good stuff as well in the European scene. I think Lapilus is around minus 375 at this time, minus 360. Gittins, the comeback on there is probably more like the plus 250, plus 260 range. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, so I mean, me and you have been like Lapilus's #1 fan, right? When he came back to the UFC, I think this guy's the goods, man. I mean, he's an insanely slick striker. You know what I mean? Like, insanely hard to take down. Like the Basharov fight, the Farid Basharov fight, who I think's pretty good. Like, I'm pretty high on. Chain wrestled him, but like he really had a hard time getting any sort of offense off on his back, or when he had Taylor on his back. He didn't have any subs that came close. Like, this guy's extremely talented, extremely defensively sound, especially in the grappling. I mean, he doesn't have a ton of pop as a striker, but man, he's very slick. Like, I think Gittins is going to give him a fight where he'll just be kind of coming in on the center line. I think Lapilus is just going to hit him there all night. I don't think Gittins has shown on the regionals like the ability to grapple. Like in I think it's Anthony or something Hernandez fight, he got on top of him in Cage Warriors and did some really good work. But I just think he has a really hard time taking Lapilus down here, who's shown unbelievable takedown defense. Very hard to hold down, good pace, good cardio. And man, he just seems like he improves fight to fight, even though he's a little bit older at 34-ish. But yeah, I think this is a good fight. I think the line maybe is a little bit too wide now because, as you know, he fights on relatively close margins. You know what I mean? It's not like he's blowing these guys out of the water per se. So I think Gittins is a dog, is tough, could try to grind, but I just don't see him getting takedowns, and I really don't see him winning a striking fight.
I do agree with you on all fronts here. I think Lapilus is the side. I do think that the odds are a bit wide, but I still don't think the money line is too egregious to put in a parlay. As you said, really good takedown defense in that Basharov fight. First off, the takedown attempts were warded off at a pretty solid percentage. And like you mentioned, once he was down, really minimized damage from the bottom from both the submission and the ground and pound aspect. Slick striking, technical striking, defensively sound on the feet as well. When he does eat shots, he eats them well. He can get up really well. His takedown defense really good. He can scramble once he's down there surprisingly well for a guy at this weight class at 135. He scrambles like fast, especially for a guy who you don't think is a ground specialist. I saw him in the Basharov fight whip up. He looked like a flyweight moving that fast. Really impressive speed. Great counters. Good control if he can get you on top on the ground, and he has had some reversals, so that's another shout. Like he can use some offensive wrestling. Really impressive run. Don't know why the UFC let him go. That's a really strange decision. Gittins on the other side, Cage Warriors champion. Definitely looked good. Pressure heavy guy. I will say that he has been knocked out in the past. He's lost by decision. He's fought solid comp while he's been on that European scene. He has good pressure. He's a grinder. He has some takedowns. He's up in your face. He's got your back against the cage the whole fight. I do think to some degree he kind of rushes. And I think that he's also fairly sloppy and sort of hittable when he does. Like, he'll rush in to get into the pocket fast to get past the kicking range of a taller fighter. I just think he leaves a lot of openings, so I can certainly see him getting stung here. I do think that if he can get Lapilus down, which I really doubt seeing, there is some good control there, but I don't know if I could see him getting maybe one, certainly not two takedowns this fight, so I don't think it's going to go very well for him. I do like overs here. I don't think of Lapilus as too much of a finisher. I do think of Gittins as being fairly tough. I don't hate Lapilus moneyline in a parlay somewhere, perhaps with Haverora. Lapilus decision if you have that prop available. I know my sportsbook doesn't here, but the over number here is definitely has my interest. Up next, we've got Dean Garnett. Where are you? Dean Garnett, where are you?
He's on the bottom, I think. Tapology's all messed
What
up.
is he doing down
That's
there?
so weird.
I expected not down there. We
Yeah.
have Dean Garnett versus Barris Adigazelle. Dean Garnett, one of my favorite fighters in this scene. 14-3-1. He is a machine. He's fought some really solid comp. He's fought McGrillen. He's looked great doing it. He knocked McGrillen down about 5 times. I think you got to hit that dude with a sledgehammer in the face to put him away. Dean Garnett should have put him away 5 times. McGrillen should have put him away 5 times. That was a wild fight. And honestly, even though he lost, it was a pretty good look for both of them, in my opinion. It really showed that Dean Garnett can hang with the top of the PFL. When he loses, he does tend to get finished. But Dean Garnett, as a whole package, is fairly complete as a fighter. Good pressure, great timing on his takedowns, really good timing on his takedowns. He can snag up some chokes once he's down there. He has some good striking. He's a shorter guy with smaller reach, but he gets in the pocket well, throws some big right hands. He has some great ground control when he's down there, some good ground and pound. He's vicious down there. He's kind of like a bulldog. He's got a shorter neck, and he just kind of winds up with his shoulders and throws. I will say that I was hoping to see him at a bit of an underdog here, and it does seem he's the case. It's about plus 115. And this guy, like you could see in that McGrillen fight, you have to hit him with a sledgehammer to put him away. So definitely have some interest here. On the other side, you have Barris Adigazelle. He's 9-1. He's a big knockout guy. He has a lot less experience than Dean Garnett on the other side. Some good power, dynamic striking. He's got a good ground game. I do think, in my opinion, that his cardio, it does look to me like it could be a bit suspect. I see you nodding. This is something that really stood out to me. In his last few fights, in round 2 and especially round 3, he looked like he had absolutely nothing left. So that is something that caught my attention. That's something I think Dean could certainly exploit. For that reason, I'm on Garnett. It's one of my preferred plays for this week. I'm on Garnett. If your sportsbook allows, Garnett sub does interest me as well as a mid to late under prop, probably around the 3.5 line. So that's my thoughts here. What are you thinking?
Yeah, no, I think we echo pretty much the exact same. I know you're a big Dean guy. I think he's really good. I think he's a dog. I literally circled in my notes beginning of the week when I was taping this. If he's a dog, it's like kind of a max bet spot. You know what I mean? I mean, the 5 rounds heavily favor him. He has really good high level experience. He's coming off of a massive win over that Polish guy, Jan something, who was the favorite to win the European tournament. And I mean, nasty guillotine choke. Like, he's very opportunistic. I think the sub here is super live. Like you said, this Barris dude is dangerous, good power. Hasn't really fought the best guys, though. So he's kind of unproven. And Dean just is someone who doesn't go away. Like you said, you got to hit this. You got to you got to put this guy out for him to stop coming. But good striking, good boxing combinations. He kind of reminds me of like a less flashy Daniel Santos. Like someone who's going to kind of walk you down all night. You know what I mean? If he gets on top, it's a problem. You don't want to give him your back. Very well rounded and just tough, man. He's just so tough. Even at the age of 37, it seems like he's still fighting his best fights. Like you would never know he's on the kind of the down. No, I wouldn't say the downswing, but a little bit older. And yeah, I think this Barris, like you said, good striker, good power. But his nickname's the Sniper, and he has that sniper striking style. But I just think these people are standing at range, kickboxing with him. You know what I mean? Like those fights really favor him. It's just Dean's not the type of guy to do that. And like you said, which I want to hammer home too, is that the round 3s, man, are so sketchy for him. Like I think he's like stroking out in the 3rd round. What's gonna happen in 4 or 5? You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think Dean Garrett. I think sub is super live. Like 3-4-5. I know probably won't have any props for that, but yeah. I think Dean could strike with him in pockets, but also mix in the grappling. So yeah, I agree with you. Dean Garrett for me.
So this next fight here, we've got the Belgian Boris Barga Atangana at 7-0 against Portuguese Guilherme Soares. So for Atangana, scary 7-0, big finisher, mostly knockouts. Similar to some others this card, I think he's relatively untested. Round 1 knockout guy, we know the type, really athletic, freak athlete, fast, hits hard. He has showed a couple takedowns as well, which kind of impressed me. He has at least 1 submission, so definitely a little bit of a sub game. Crazy freak athlete, extremely chalky, -6, -7 even. Really big favorite. Fighting Guilherme Soares at plus 400, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I have some interest here in Suarez. He's 17-7, so he does take some losses. A lot more experience, a lot better comp. He's won all three ways. He's long, he's tall, but he doesn't leave his chin up irresponsibly like some taller fighters do at those heavier weight classes. He uses his length well. He has some good straight shots, fundamental striking. He also does have some dynamic striking. He'll throw some knees, some flying knees, some spinning elbows. He has some takedowns. He has a good sub game. This guy just loves to fight. And at plus 400, he has some losses on his record. He can be a bit of a journeyman, you could call him, but give me the guy at plus 400 that can finish a fight both ways, has more experience, has more proven cardio, wants to be there. I gotta take a small stab on Suarez here. Probably just the money line would be enough for me. Additionally, I'd probably do the under to cover. Probably the 1.5 here. I just do see this being a vicious fight no matter who comes out on top. But give me a little bit of a big dog here in Suarez.
Yeah, I mean, 100% the line is off, but this, the Belgian, how do you say his name again? Can you remind me?
Atangana, we'll call him.
Atagana. I mean, he seems like, in this match specifically, like a massive hardware edge, a massive power edge, and just freak athlete, you know what I mean? He kind of reminded me a little bit of, obviously not as skilled, but a little bit of like a Thad Gene archetype, like big for the division, good straights, like good takedown defense, and just improving, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think he is good, but you're right, this line seems to be pretty crazy because he has all pretty much very early finishes. Like in round one, he hasn't fought the best level of competition. I mean, the one thing I will say is in his last against Johnny Gregory, that lead left hook was nasty. Like, smoked him, killed him with that lead left hook, you know what I mean? But, like, what happens when he gets extended? Like, I think, remind me again with the name. I'm sorry. Suarez, yeah. I think he does have some grappling upside, and it seems like he does want to do it. You know what I mean? Which automatically, at like in the 4s or 5s, makes him have some sort of value because this dude's so untested he's fighting. But yeah, I personally, like, I love big dogs, you know me. I personally can't get there. I just think he's there to get hit. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's there to get hit. I don't think he's the greatest athlete. I don't think he has, like, the most amazing durability. But, like, I do think if he could get out of, like, the first 3 minutes, it does get pretty sketchy. So, yeah, I mean, I don't hate the dog shot. I personally wouldn't really pick a side here unless I'm going for, like, a prop or an under.
Well, hopefully I can say I told you so on that one.
Yes, I hope so, too.
Up next, we've got the 155 Tournament Championship. We've got Connor Hughes versus Alexander Chizov. Connor Hughes at 12-2. Alex Chizov at 12-3. We've got Chizov at the plus 160 dog number. Connor Hughes coming in a hair under minus 200. Who do you have here?
Yeah, I think Connor Hughes should probably be fine here. I think he has really good pace, really good cardio, like good durability. I also think he has championship experience in Cage Warriors. I think the 5 rounds definitely suits him. He's got good body shots. You know what I mean? He's always in your face. It's very difficult for Chiziov to he's very like reactionary with his striking. You know what I mean? Like hands low, like kind of bouncing stance. I just think the way Hughes fights, that's kind of going to be a nightmare for him. You know, like I don't know about you, I wasn't super impressed with how do you say it? Man, I'm so bad. Chizov, yeah. I wasn't super impressed with him. Like, I think he fought like solid enough guys. But the Italian dude, I'm blanking on his name, I'm so bad with names, knocked him out with a hook. And I just think, or dropped him and then got the sub. I don't know. I don't think he's the most defensively sound. I think Connor Hughes has fought the better guys, better experience, better cardio, better pace. I just think that's gonna, and he could mix in grappling or at least attempt it to show it. I just think he'll do more and maybe get a late finish, but I think maybe a decision live too. What about you?
This fight should definitely be a fun one. This is one that I circled just as being a fun fight here. Connor Hughes can win any way the fight goes. He has been knocked out before. He has lost by decision. He's a good striker. I think if the fight goes his way, I think mostly it'll stay on the feet. Powerful, good pressure striker. He's good at keeping his opponent's back on the cage, good at controlling the center of the octagon. I do think that his weakness comes generally more on the ground. He can get controlled on the ground, he's shown. I don't think that should be too big of a problem here. And Alex Chizov, you've got someone who can also win all 3 ways, someone who can lose all 3 ways. He's a slick striker. I see what you mean with the hands low, reactionary. He takes shots well. He can be KO, but like he recovers well. He takes shots well. He is fairly powerful. With him as well, I expect this fight to stay standing. So until it ends, I expect it to be standing. I do think that someone's probably getting knocked out late in this fight. I do like those numbers. For the very late unders, maybe the under 4.5 is probably the earliest I'd go. Maybe just the fight to not go the distance. I was really hoping to see Chisov at a bigger underdog number here. If I had saw him around plus 200, which I was hoping to see here when I saw this matchup, I would have been diving on it. At plus 160, I'm hesitant. I just don't think there's enough meat on the bone there. I think he definitely has a shot here. I think it's probably a 3 out of 10 clip maybe. So I was hoping to see a bigger number here. At that number, at getting Connor Hughes even better than minus 200, a little better than 2-1, I got to be on there in some sort of a lay somewhere. So I will take Connor Hughes here and probably the under 4.5.
Yes, who do you think actually has more, like if there's a finish, you think it's Hughes finishing him?
If there's a finish, I think it's probably a Chizov
Knockout?
late knockout. If there's a finish. I think I think there could be a late knockout. I think there could be a late knockout either way. I think Chizov's knockout comes earlier.
Yeah, they're both dangerous. Like they're both.
I think both of them could get a late knockout, which is why I like that under 4.5. But I think Chizov could get that knockout early. I don't really think Connor Hughes could get that knockout early. Next fight, this is the final championship fight of the night. It's going to be in some weird spot. It is the bantamweight. I thought this was a championship fight. Maybe it is not. This is a bantamweight fight, 3 rounds. Gustavo Oliveira versus Movsar Ibragimov. Gustavo Oliveira at 11-2. He's a finisher, mostly knockouts. He loses by decision. He's never been finished. He had a nasty spinning back elbow in his last time out. Really caught a lot of attention. And I thought that might do more work swaying the odds here, which it doesn't really seem like it did too much because he's still coming in at a solid underdog number around plus 200. Actually, a little more than that, plus 225. He does have a loss to Felipe Lima, which, I mean, Felipe Lima has showed he's a pretty solid fighter. He's fast. He has really precise strikes. He's a bit of a sniper. Fighting here against Movsar Ibragimov, 7-0, all 7 finishes. He's got some good striking. Nothing that like strikes me as incredible, but good striking. He's got that classic takedown style from that area of the world, that classic control. Collect the legs, sit on him, do some ground and pound. I do think he's hittable. I have seen him get rocked a couple times, have seen him get dropped a couple times. So if anybody could exploit that, I think it will be Oliveira. So for that, I do like Oliveira's money line here. Were you able to get your hands on a KO prop? That would interest me as well. Were this fight at evens, I'd probably take Ibragimov just for the current streak he's on. I think he brings some good skills, but at this number, plus 220, I have to take the guy with more experience and the guy who I think could catch Movsar and finish him the way other people couldn't before him.
Yeah, no, you bring up some good points. This is actually a crazy take I'm about to say, but I don't think Movsar is very dangerous. Like, I know he has all finish wins and stuff, but he's not fighting the greatest guys. You know what I mean? And also, Oliveira has never been finished. And I don't know, something about his grappling style, you see him a lot just kind of sit in full guard, right, when he takes people down. He has, like, that combat sambo base of wrestling, like a lot of double legs, a lot of single legs. Runs the pipe really well. Like, he's definitely very good and pretty solid everywhere, but I don't think he'll be the most dangerous person, especially fighting the higher level of competition. Like, I mean, he's supposed to kill these guys, especially on the regionals, you know what I mean? And he shows a ton of decisions in his amateur. I think he has 10 amateur fights, 8 amateur fights. A lot of them went to decision. So I just think he's a product of, not saying he's a bad fighter, but I think he's a product of really good matchmaking when it comes to finishes. You know what I mean? And then, like you said, Oliveira, on the other hand, that spinning elbow is generational. I mean, that's one of the craziest highlights I've seen in some time, right? Especially in PFL, like that, they should be running that on all their shows. I know they need some more eyes on the promotion. But yeah, I just think the concern with him would be he gets taken down and just kind of lay and preyed on, because he has shown in spots he struggles to get up. But I think he's way more dynamic on the feet, good power. Obviously, he has good finishing ability. Like, that spinning elbow is disgusting. I think like 80% of his wins, he finished inside the distance. So yeah, I actually don't mind the dog shot on Oliveira at all. And I think he could potentially land a big shot early.
I'm glad to see we lined up on that one. I was hoping we would. So now in these final two fights, a little less experience here for each of these fighters. Starting off, we've got Paulina Wesniewska versus Sabrina D'Souza. Paulina, we're going to call her for this. Polish. She's 6-0. She's won all three ways. She's looked pretty solid. I don't have that much negatives to say about her. She looks fairly well-rounded. Sabrina D'Souza, on the other hand, 4-0. She's won all three ways in her amateur career. She actually has a knockout professionally as well. She seems to be a bit more reliant on the submissions. She wins by submission decision more often than not. Very extensive amateur career. Really, really impressive amateur career. For that reason, I'm going to have to take Sabrina D'Souza on this. I think she's coming in with a lot more experience. She's developed her skill over years and years, which I have to like here. I think that Paulina having more experience and the better record is perhaps swaying the odds back a little bit than what they should be for all the amateur experience coming from the other side. And at minus 155, I have to be on Sabrina D'Souza here. On the money line, straight, probably the over 2.5 as well if I need to put a prop somewhere.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like when I went into taping it, I was like, obviously the lines were not yet, and I was like, oh, I think D'Souza, like at anything lower than minus 200 is like a really good spot. I think she's really good. I mean, she's like the definition of learning on the job at only 25, and like you said, I mean, extensive amateur record where she fought some pretty good girls. You know what I mean? And what I really like in IMAF stuff like that. One of the world champions 2 years in a row for IMAF in 2022 and 2023. I just think she's really good. Like she's maybe not the biggest for the division. Like I think she's only 5'3", but has really like a Muay Thai striking style. Really, really good physicality in the clinch. It has really good 1-2s in boxing range to get into the clinch to mix in her own wrestling. And I just think she mixes the martial arts really well. I think she's definitely the side here, and I think Paulina's also solid, like undefeated at 6-0, right? Has 2 straight wins by submission. Another one that has some amateur experience, but I think she's shown that she can be taken down. You know what I mean? Like I think D'Souza has a lot better takedown defense and has a better grappling game, and I think I see a lot of grappling here working on the clinch. So yeah, I'm with you. Give me D'Souza like minus 150. I think it's a pretty good line.
So for our final fight of the night, there's not too much to say here. It's oddly high here. You've got Levi Bachelor at 2-0 against Ryan Balbali at 1-0. Levi Bachelor coming in at a whopping minus 400 for this amount of experience. Ryan Balbali coming in around the low plus 300s. What I will say, these odds are due to just the more experience. Also, Ryan's win, his one win is by decision. Both of Levi's wins are by finish, which is another point here. My pick is Levi Bachelor. I did a very surface level dive here. Would I play this at all? No. A, because of the price, given the amount of experience, and B, just because of the amount of experience. I think both these guys need to develop more before they deserve anybody's hard-earned money. But yeah, I would take Levi here as my pick. More fights, more finishes. You guys take the guy with more fights, more finishes, but nothing worth your money here. How about you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I watched very little tape on this. I barely looked into it. I thought I was looking at the wrong card in the beginning when I clicked on it. I was like, this is literally like a Cage Warriors prelim opener, right? Like, I don't really get this, but I mean, it seems like they're trying to build Levi here. I think like if you look at he's coming off of a submission win. If you look at the French guy's record, he's been submitted a ton in his amateurs, and the one fight I was able to see, it just like was pretty sloppy, man. Like, not the greatest grappler. This is pretty low level in general. I mean, 1-0 versus 2-0. So I think you definitely stay away. But I think Bachelor by sub, like if I needed to pick a spot, I just think takedowns should be easy. He reminds me a little bit of Jack Shore, I will say. Obviously not as good, but I think are they out of the same gym? Is that why? That could be?
I think they are.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he reminds me a little bit just like Welsh, like solid enough striking, but definitely looks for takedowns. So yeah, I think probably spend too much time on this fight with me yapping, but yeah, I agree with you. I think Levi's the side.
So for a bird's eye view for this whole card, it seems that like we have a fairly similar perspective for a lot of these fights. I would say my favorite picks overall, Souza money line, I would have to say is one of my favorites. The under 1.5 in the Atangana fight. Also the stab on Suarez money line plus 400. I don't dislike that at all. Dean Garnett for a slight underdog. The over in the Lapalus fight, perhaps Lapalus in a lay somewhere. Habarora in a lay somewhere. The Cyborg under and the main event under.
Yeah, no, I pretty much, again, for a second card in a row, we pretty much agree with every fight. But yeah, I think it's like a lot of violence here, like a lot of violent spots, like the under. Like I think the under in the side. I even think, I mean, Cyborg's up to like 700 minus 700, so I wouldn't play that. But I think the under there. I think the under in the Giuseppe fight is safe, even if it's 1.5. Man, I have a hard time like with his style, believing he stays away from the power. I think you bet Dean Garnett straight. I think I'm definitely going to. I think it's a good spot for him, and maybe props like he could get a late finish. It's 100% live. And other than that, maybe put Hughes in a part. Maybe Hughes with the guy fighting Jusei. I think that's probably like one of my favorite spots too. I just think both those guys have good paths. But yeah, I think solid enough card for Saturday morning. Like, what else are you doing? Definitely looking forward to it. But I'm happy we were able to break it down.
Absolutely. Thanks for sticking around, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this breakdown of PFL Finals Europe. We appreciate you guys. Good luck betting. Catch you guys next time.